If you're looking for an advanced and powerful BIM software for MEP planning, then you should watch this video to get an overview of the powerful range of features of the linear solutions for Revit. Naturally, the topics presented cannot be covered in depth in the following 25 minutes, but it should become clear that today, in addition to the purely trade-specific planning work of design and calculation, the loss-free digital exchange of concepts and results is increasingly part of our daily work, thanks to the BIM working methodology. Tools in the collaboration category, such as pipe routing concept, slot and opening coordination using BCF, parameter management, and IFC classification, are important components of a modern software solution. In order to make a well-founded investment decision, all these aspects should be taken into account. So, let's get started. The design process and the calculation of MEP systems are extensive enough in themselves. That's why we wanted to avoid an additional complexity of planning work due to an overloaded CAD system as far as possible. We have therefore set ourselves the goal of focusing on the workflows of the building equipment planner. When working with a BIM model, many different views of one and the same model can be set, depending on the application case or project status. These views should be easy to create, but also just as easy to change during editing. In many cases, starting with the right view is the first working step. This is why you will find the selection of disciplines, building parts, story levels, and view types, for example floor plans or 3D views, on the first tab of the linear control board. With these few criteria, all existing views of the project are filtered and, if possible, selected immediately. This applies to floor plan views as well as 3D views. Optionally, the visibility of the categories within the individual disciplines can also be accessed directly from here. And if I, as a user, have already decided which discipline I'm going to work in, it makes sense that the correct construction commands, the correct component libraries, and also the corresponding calculations are offered. Thanks to this forward-looking functionality, the extensive commands for design and calculation for the individual trades and workflows are limited to what is necessary and can therefore be managed easily and quickly. After this brief introduction, let's take a look at the steps of a typical planning process and how the linear solutions can help you to improve productivity and also the quality of your results. The MEP planning process usually starts with an architectural model. More and more frequently, this is a 3D model that is submitted either as an IFC file or a Revit project file. In both cases, this architectural model can also be used for thermal calculations if it is supplemented with the thermal properties of the materials used, but also with zone or room-based data such as temperatures, number of persons, and so on. You can do this in the architecture discipline of the linear solutions. Here you will find everything you need to add the necessary room data and zones to the architectural model. The load calculations for the heat load and the cooling load are carried out on the basis of a thermal model prepared in this way. The resulting loads then serve as the basis for the design of room or story-based systems, such as radiators, convectors, panel heating or cooling control, or component activation. These planning steps are covered by the software modules in linear building. Building Analyze provides the features for preparing the architectural model and for automatically recognizing all building materials, layered components, rooms with their design temperatures, as well as zones, building stories, and the planned number of people. On this basis, building heating enables the heat load calculation according to different country-specific standards at the touch of a button. Thanks to the navigation functions between calculation and model, you have full control. Building Cooling Dynamic is the module for dynamic cooling load calculations, either according to VDI 2078 or ASHRAE. The automatic dimensioning of heating and cooling appliances is then carried out either individually for each room or for an entire story. The dimensioning rules can be configured to a large extent. The devices dimensioned in this way are then automatically inserted into the Revit model with all relevant data. At the same time, the position and size of equipment rooms and the supply routes can already be designed. The first draft of the pipe routes for the technical systems can be coordinated with the construction planners at an early stage in a BIM project. Areas can be reserved here with placeholders without detailed piping or air ducts. The sizes of these areas can be estimated with sufficient accuracy at this stage of planning. For conceptual design, Linear Solutions offers the pipe run planning workflow with placeholders for equipment rooms and cable routes. Changes to risers or alternative pipe routes can be created or modified with little effort during the concept phase and can also be perfectly coordinated digitally in OpenBIM workflows using the IFC export. Based on this concept, the design of pipe and duct systems then begins. This is usually the most time-consuming part of the design work. However, the placeholder objects and the data they contain give you a smart advantage. Pipes, air ducts, and electrical routes can be generated with the correct systems, dimensions, and distances with just one command. This is then an ideal starting point for further design work. Of course, the linear solutions offer powerful functions and commands in all disciplines, especially for detailed construction design. This constructive part of planning is covered by the products of the Linear Desktop range. The Linear Desktop modules are available for heating and cooling, ventilation, potable water, and wastewater. In addition to many general functionalities, each desktop module offers powerful, discipline-specific commands and content, namely families, both generic and manufacturer-specific. Here is a brief overview. Configure and draw several parallel pipes with material, dimensions, and distances. Resolve structural collisions or pipe collisions using offsets. Connect end components with practical discipline-specific options for ventilation, potable water and heating. Neutral components, such as pumps, fittings, and tanks, can be inserted from the component library. Here you will find families and component generators for the selected discipline or workflow. You can also easily manage your own families here. Manufacturer-specific components, including all relevant technical data, can be accessed in the linear CAD browser. Even in times of BIM planning and 3D models, schematic representations of pipe systems still have their raison d'être. So if we have already spent time and effort on creating a detailed 3D design of our system, wouldn't it make sense to use the topological information and automatically derive a scheme from it? The scheme workflow offers the right commands for these cases. As soon as the scheme is derived from the model, each individual component of the pipe network is linked to its equivalent in the scheme. This allows you to easily navigate back and forth between the schematic representation and the 3D model. If individual situations have not been generated optimally, or if you simply want to make changes to the scheme yourself, you will find a suitable set of commands here. You can even easily integrate your own symbols. The most important step on the way to energy-efficient systems, namely the planning of a correctly dimensioned pipe network, is of course done with the help of specific calculation programs. The products in the Linear Analyze series offer hydraulic calculations for heating, cooling, ventilation, potable water, wastewater, and gas systems, and also support numerous country-specific standards. The linear calculation programs are characterized by the fact that they offer professionals the levers to perfectly calculate and optimize systems. The concept of integrated calculations on the basis of the current model offers numerous possibilities for optimizing networks and maintaining an overview even with larger systems. Complete parts list and transfer to facility management applications are of course included. This is where our intensive cooperation with many well-known product manufacturers pays off for you, as they naturally have an interest in ensuring that their product innovations are correctly mapped in the design and calculation. There are many options for printing the results, making the calculation processes easier to understand. For each flow path, for each section, and each individual component. You can flexibly configure which calculation values or results you want to output for other applications in the BIM process. As soon as the detailed and correctly dimensioned pipe network or air duct system is ready, reliable information on slots and openings in masonry and ceilings can be provided. You will find everything you need for this in the cross-discipline workflow, slot and opening planning. Whether manual or automatic, the program correctly determines the necessary opening sizes and positions and also provides you with all the information in BCF format for collaboration, optionally with IFC export of the openings. When importing a BCF file, you can see whether a breakthrough has been approved or rejected by the structural engineer from the automatically assigned status colors. And the linear collision check reacts accordingly. This means that accepted breakthrough proposals are no longer reported as collisions, even though there are no openings in the model yet. Digital coordination significantly increases both productivity and quality. Collaborative work in a building model requires good communication. Revision clouds with comments are rather unsuitable for storing structured reports and tasks for attention or further processing in a model. Good communication in work-sharing environments is a central component of the linear solutions. All calculation programs, component analyses, and collision checks generate notifications that are thematically structured and have links to navigate to the affected components. Labels such as Not in Progress, In Progress, or Completed transparently flag the current status of each individual notification for everyone involved. A chat functionality for direct clarification of issues rounds off this feature. The concept of shared parameters in Revit is the basis for consistent usability of all data in the model for a wide variety of applications. The fact that there are no uniform standards for all conceivable parameters makes it difficult to use them when projects or component families are delivered that were created with other tools or come from different sources. It can happen that component families for radiators are used in one and the same project, where the parameter for the heat capacity is called QNorm for one and heat_capacity for another. But even with the data to be supplied, which is agreed in the client information requirements, compliance with the naming conventions is important in order to achieve a consistent data environment. The Linear Parameter Manager was developed precisely for this use case. Whether name adaptations or assignment of external parameters to your own parameters, consistency in parameter handling has never been so easy. Quality of the data is crucial for digital data exchange. And in order to know exactly what type of component we're dealing with, a classification is the necessary basis. Especially when it comes to IFC, the component categories used in Revit are not sufficient. For this reason, the linear solutions offer the option of automatically assigning a much more precise IFC classification for most HVAC components. A precise classification is essential, especially for downstream applications that rely on MEP data. The data relevant to the building equipment planner for individual objects can be checked and set quickly and clearly in the Linear Properties window. In contrast to the Revit Properties window, here the focus lies on the MEP components. This gives you a quick overview of the relevant data. As a user, you can also determine which other data is important for your application context for each component class. After planning, the process usually continues with tendering or quotation and awarding, and finally invoicing. An accurate quantity takeoff is the basic framework for valid cost documentation in the planning process, and in particular for the service description in order to prepare tender documents. However, a quantity takeoff of a ventilation system according to the tendering and contracting regulations goes far beyond counting database elements. There are many situations that cannot be modeled one-to-one or derived from a CAD model, such as overmeasuring recesses that are only produced after installation. In addition, the large number of component-dependent measurement and overmeasurement rules is another reason why model-based quantity takeoff is difficult to implement for ventilation systems. With linear solutions, you get exactly that. A CAD-based quantity takeoff compliant with tendering and contracting regulations. Revisions can thus be implemented in the CAD environment with minimal effort and can be transferred to your own tendering and quotation software. With the linear user guidance concept, the extensive functions in the areas of load calculations, creation of concepts, design, calculation, and collaboration are offered in a context-dependent manner, making them quickly accessible and, above all, easy to learn. Getting started with linear solutions is perfectly accompanied by an online help system that not only explains commands and options, but also concepts in detail. A variety of e-learning tutorials with sample projects and step-by-step instructions are available to our customer for self-study. And if you should get stuck, our linear support is staffed with real people who will help you competently and promptly. Software and services for modern MEP planning. Everything from a single source. Linear Solutions, the BIM engineering software.